Okie dokie, I think we're all set here. Let me do a quick check on things. First off, today is Wednesday, so happy day. There we go. Happy hump day. Whoops. I think the chat was set correctly. Yeah, all panelists and attendees. So let's redo that and paste that for you. So there is your welcome aboard message. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and basically promote each of you. So hang on just one second. See, Tony, you are promoted. And Susan, you're promoted. Shirley, you're promoted. Let's see, Roger, you're promoted. Chris, good to see you, buddy. You are promoted. Let's see, Melanie, good to see you. How are you? Down in the beautiful state of Texas. Doug Campbell, good to see you, buddy. I'm sure you're warm and toasty down there in Florida. And Augustine, good to see you too. Hopefully things will smooth out for you in the last several weeks. Okay, I've got sort of a mixed bag tonight for our agenda. So what happens a lot of times when I have one-on-ones with you, things pop up, and there are things I determine I want to share with the group. So some of these things you'll say, hey, Gary and I just talked about that, and there's a reason for that. So in any case, just real quickly, I know you all have heard this before, you know this, but so we're live, we're being recorded. And if you're watching this in recording mode in a later date, or whether it's live or in a recording, make sure you get the email from Beverly the very next day. It'll always have the recording in there of the previous night's webinar, and also schedule changes to anything has to do with the upcoming schedule, or sometimes they'll take the system down on a Saturday night for installing some type of an update. All kinds of things go in there, and so it's good to keep up with that and stay current with things. And also remember the schedule. Sorry, I've got voice strain, by the way. The schedule for the upcoming webinars is usually down towards the bottom half of the email, so you have to scroll forward to see it. So in any case, welcome everybody. We got people from California, Texas, Virginia, Florida, New Jersey, and I think that's it. So I know some people, we're going to have a small crowd tonight because some people are doing their monthly gig groups tonight in the central time zone, so we'll probably not see those folks. But in any case, here's a few things that have popped up in the calls so far this month. So this is the third weekly call so far, okay? And one of the most common topics is the 4 things: your vision, goals, action, plan. And I just want to tell you, I know what it's like. You're busy, man. You wake up in the morning, the phone starts ringing, and the emails are coming in. And you've already got a plan, and there's no time to do something like a vision statement that's going to take a few hours. But I will tell you, it's well worth it. I mean, I've been doing it for more than 2 decades myself, and I just did mine this past Saturday. Did the vision on Saturday, the goals on Sunday. This weekend I'll do the actions and the plans. And I've also got to get new tires and take my mom in to get her coronavirus shot. And so be a full day. We'll figure it out, but I make it happen. And I'll tell you a little secret here. Here's what I figured out. If you're in a house with other people, sometimes it's hard to get some quiet time, especially if you're the mom, right? You've got, kids, grown adults nowadays, it's like grown adults are going back living with their parents again. But dogs, cats, it's just, so here's what I figured out. I usually wake up sometime just short of 5 in the morning, just by habit, just happens automatically. I don't fight it, I just go with it. So I decided to go ahead this year and stay in bed and do my vision exercise before I left the room. And boy, did that work. So uh, try it for yourself and see if it doesn't work for you. you know, any case, if you want to share yours with me, please feel free. I mean, I would love to read them because it helps kind of tie me to you. It's like a connection point, and it actually helps me do a better job training and coaching because I have more insight into where you are and where you want to go. And it just, I mean, even little things like picking the right marketing campaigns, it's not always necessarily relative to your market, it's relative to you as a person. I mean, let's face it, not everybody's cut out to do a live workshop. And some people don't like door knocking, and some people don't like social media. And so if I know those things, it's easy for me to help you choose what might fit you and your marketplace. Does that make sense? So, so vision exercise is really important, not just for you, but it helps me too. Then when we get the goals, I can help you align them, prioritize them, categorize them, all that. And then eventually we plan out the action items. And now you got a good plan that matches your vision statement. And lo and behold, you're more likely to achieve it. So in any case, that's probably the most common thing that's come up so far this month. Actually, if you guys could do me a favor, do a like a hand raise, or you can unmute your mic if you want to, or just type in the chat box. Let me know if you've actually done the vision statement, or if you have questions, or if you haven't done it, just say, hey, Gare, I'm one of the people that has cats and dogs and parents and kids, and everybody wants your attention. So I kind of want to get a feel for the ratio. So, yep, good to see you, Tony, by the way. So good job last night. Yep. So I appreciate that. So Anita, I did the vision state. Yeah, that's right. Anita did hers because we just went over that a couple days ago. Well, what I would do is we've got 2 weekends left in the month. What I do is this weekend I'll wrap mine up, and then the final weekend I'm going to give you one more assignment relative to your vision. Some people call this a vision board. I used to have one, a big giant vision board up on the wall. You know, the whiteboard, and pictures on it and handwritten words and things like that. There's Tony right there. There you go. Yep. So what I started doing was, because I was traveling all the time, I literally, here, I'll show you. I created my own portable travel vision board. So this is one of the pages, and these are my background's messing this thing up here, but let me turn this off. Hang on one second. I want you to see this. Whoops. Choose virtual background, or choose none. Do that. Okay. So much better. So these are my children, brothers and sisters, and parents, uncle, and two of my. We call ourselves the Three Musketeers. Don't ask me why. There's a history there, and you'll have to read the book to figure it out. But that's part of my vision board that I take with me. There's 3 pages there. So what I do is I have my vision statement with me at all times, right? Okay, it's another page there, right? And I have the pictures to have a visual reminder. And all I do is when I'm eating breakfast, I just look at it. That's all I do. But it's a constant sort of a pulling effect that pulls me forward. And I'm here to tell you, I mean, I've been doing it for a lot of years. I wouldn't know what to do without it. And it's that important. So in any case, I don't want to try to get too preachy tonight. Now, when it comes to marketing, I've gotten some good ideas from you, the folk you're out there doing the marketing, and you're learning your own way to improvise, adapt, overcome, improve, and make it and do things like that. So Mo's doing her webinar night, by the way, so she's not on her gig session. She's doing the letter campaign, using the lead generating system RealFlow to get the leads. Remember, it's very highly targeted, and then she uses the letters that has language patterns that match the search criteria, right? In fact, this is really important. A couple of weeks back, I mentioned something called the marketing triangle, which is the 3 M's in a triangle: market, message, media. And what that means is you want to have a message that matches your market, right? Using the right media. So for example, if you're doing a search on our lead system, RealFlow, on foreclosures, for example, well, let's pick very common absentee owners with vacancies, one of the most common searches. Well, it'd be a good idea if your message, your letter, matched the search criteria. Does that make sense? Like you can mention something about being the absentee owner and it's no fun having vacancies when you're a landlord, that kind of thing. So what happens is when the message matches the market and increases your response rates. Okay. So I was wondering why on the team were some people getting great results with the letter campaigns and some people were getting, striking out. And I realized, I came to me, I said, it's the marketing triangle. So I started looking at examples. And David Schmidtke in College Station, Texas, basically getting hits every single time. Oh my gosh, he's getting 4 appointments every time he does a letter campaign. He's in a college town, so his language patterns match the owners of student housing in the college town. Genius. In other areas, I found out people, for example, Florida obviously has an more elderly population, particularly in the winter months when everybody's coming down south. And yet 1 or 2 of the students were doing searches that might match a different demographic. So the language pattern they were using, the letters, did not match the search criteria, didn't match the market. And I figured out that's why. So I said, change your search criteria to be long-term owner, which means they've owned it more than 30 years. And guess what happened? The response rates went up. Okay. So in any case, it's an age-old lesson. We realtors generally, sometimes we just want to go in there and just charge and make things happen, which is, it's a good trait to be ambitious and high energy. But if you don't take the time to study the market, you can spend a lot of money without a lot of good results. So the lesson was gather information first, understand your market, because you can't make the market do something it's not doing. You can't. I mean, you can plug into the market. Does that make sense, guys? Like plug into the market. Yep. And you'll get better results. Another example, David Edwards is up in Navarre, Destin, Florida, the panhandle, basically Pensacola and all that. And he was having the hardest time finding the landlords owning the rentals. And I said, well, that's unusual because you've got one of the largest naval air bases right there. And we decided to do the digging in the data. We just took one whole session and just dug in. We used that Data USA. Remember that website I showed a few weeks ago? Looking at demographics, and it gave you all the cool stuff. We know what it was. The Pensacola Naval Air Station is a naval air base. Who flies the airplanes? Enlisted men or officers? Officers. Yep. We had a language pattern there was appealing to multi-unit owners, which only would appeal to enlisted men. Where do officers want to live? Single-family homes. So we changed the marketing, changed the language patterns, and boom, there you go. We also did a search going back through the ads of all the rent for rent ads, excuse me, on the MLS, and we came up with a list of 326 owners. How about them apples? We had a precise list of people to target. Either when you had single-family homes renting, and we knew who their market was, which was the officers, and lo and behold, there you go. So, in any case, I know sometimes this sounds like work, and it is, but it's work well worth it. It's better to do a little legwork up front and get a higher return on investment in your marketing than just try to like hope and wish and pray for things.
Gary, can you do that last part one more time? We just got identification on our MLS of what is a rental property. Can you say that again?
What David did, he didn't actually search for rental properties. What he did is on the MLS, people were leasing their homes through the MLS, using realtors to rent their homes. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, now, I have that. Okay.
Yeah, and you're right. So Susan, in your market in Lynchburg, you're going to have more private advertising going on. People doing their own Facebook and Craigslist and stuff like that. Yep.
Thank you.
So if I was you, I would definitely. Do you still have like the penny saver there and Green Sheet and all that kind of stuff? Everything's on like Craigslist and go with that then.
Marketplace usually now.
Marketplace. Okay, good. Use that then. Yep. So any case, another example is study your market. There you go. So any case, here's what Mo and Oksana figured out in St. Louis. You know how we can skip trace to get these consumers' phone numbers, so we can email them, call them, everything, or sorry, mail them, email or call or text. So what we figured out, if we combine the letters with calling, we get higher conversion rates. So she signed on for Mojo. Now will tell you candidly, over the years I've tried a lot of different systems. I ended up usually not being a big fan of many of them at all. I mean, most cases I would cancel the contracts after a couple of years. But nonetheless, instead of her using skip tracing to call them directly or doing all the work, she's just using Mojo. It's like an auto dialer, right? So she feeds it with the people she sent the letter to, then it just goes and calls and she looks for an answer. And I'll give you some scripting here in a minute. But I just want to emphasize whether you use Mojo or any other dialer, or you're doing it yourself manually, definitely, how do I phrase this? I'm not against calling people on the phone. What I've learned in my experience was, if I sent them something first, postcard, letter, maybe 2 letters, when I call them, I generally had more favorable responses and fewer negative responses. When I would cold call right off the scratch, like just plain cold call, I never sent them anything. That's when I got more of the irate people, or as soon as I tell them who I am, oh, I'm cooking dinner right now. Oh, do you hear my kids? I got to go hang up and bye. But when I sent them something first, for some reason, it changed my statistics. I had better response rates. And I think it's because they recognize your name. You send them like a plain letter envelope, right? You don't, we don't barcode anything. We don't do that. We send actual letters and things. So what I'm getting at is combine the 2 techniques, direct mail first, followed by a phone call. I think we'll get higher response rates. For me personally, it was 2 to 3 letters and then a phone call. I was Mr. Chicken. I admit it. I did not want to cold call people. You ever hear that, Melanie? I don't want to cold call. So what's funny is you just get used to it, but it's easier when you send something first. Okay, now, as far as scripting goes, here's what we do when we're looking for the rentals for our investors to purchase, so they will be the landlord or ourselves. Okay. Let's say I saw their for rent sign out front and I took a picture, came back and called them up and say, I'm calling about your rental at 123 Main Street. And by the way, that's a great campaign right now to find rental investment properties. We call it sign capture. I'm going to do a quick pause here and describe it to you so this will make more sense. So sign capture is this. You first want to determine your rental areas. Like every town has its areas that's known for being a higher rental area, okay? Or more renters per capita than owner occupants, for example. So we would make a concerted effort to drive around for a couple hours on every street in that neighborhood and look for every sign we could find. Not the professional agency signs, the owner doing it themselves signs. Take a picture, write down the address, come back and call them up. And here's what we would say. I'd say, hey, dear Doug, Doug, thank you for taking my call. I'm calling about the rental you have on 123 Main Street. I'm just curious, do you have other investment properties too? Okay, I'll let you catch up there. I can see some of you are writing that down. I'm curious, do you have other investment properties too? Now, usually, if they did, they would say something like, well, where are you looking to rent? I may have a couple, And that would be my cue. I would say, well, actually, I'm an investor too. In fact, I work with investors, and we're having a darnest time trying to find investment properties to purchase. Have you ever considered, or would you consider selling one of your properties if the price was right? So have you ever considered, or would you consider selling one of your properties if the price was right? Okay, and I'll let you catch up on that. Hey guys, I just realized we've got some more participants I've got to promote to panelists. Hey Willie, you just got promoted. Targan, you just got promoted. Beverly just got promoted. Hey, Ann, good to see you. Hey, Ann, I'm going to promote you. You just
Hey
got
everyone.
promoted to, yeah, good to see you, man. Good call today, Willie. That was an awesome call.
Yeah, thank you. What?
By the way, Willie, everybody give Willie a pat on the back because how many calls do we have scheduled this week, Willie?
3 and a back-to-back. 3 different days and then one
Nice.
back-to-back. Yeah.
Yep. So that's a total of four call times scheduled. You think Willie's going to ramp up his business this year? So, in any case, so back to this. Have you ever considered, or would you consider selling one of your properties if the price was right? Now, the reason I said it that way is this. I already know they have multiple properties. I'm trying to make myself the small lion for the moment. You ever seen a picture of lions in the wild, particularly male lions? There's the leader of the pride, and then the young male is trying to find a home or whatever. The young male rolls over and is basically submitting to the elderly male lion. All I'm doing here is, in that investor's mind, he's probably thinking, boy, I got a hot one here. We got this guy on the phone. He's just looking to buy anything he can buy. And he would probably ask me, well, what do you think it's worth? What throw me a number, right? They'll test you. And that's when you can open up and go into your listing script and say, with all due respect, I'd like to actually get more information on the property before I nail down a price. In fact, I'd like to see the property. I don't want to disturb your tenants. Make sure you say that. Say, I don't want to disturb your tenants. All I want to do is get a feel for the building, the age, the condition, the whole 9 yards. I need to actually see it. Just like, and if they give me any rebuttal, I say, well, when you bought the property, did you go see it? In most cases, of course, the answer is yes. So in any case, what I would do is just open up the dialogue to just, all I want to do is get in the front door. That's all I want to do, and get some information on the property. Now, let's say when I asked the question, they answered, no, I just have the one. I would say, but I tell you just saw one part, and I would say, would you consider selling, or have you ever considered selling if the price was right? Now, ironically, and it's going to make sense when you hear this, which person do you think I got more favorable responses on? The person that just had one property, or the person that had multiple properties? Which do you think gave me better responses? It was actually the people that have multiple properties. Isn't that amazing? I would have thought the same thing, guys. They got one property, they're probably, now, it's not that it didn't work. The people that had one property, it did work. And the ones that were selling, guess what? They usually were accidental landlords. They either inherited the property, or they kept it out of a divorce, or they couldn't sell 5 years ago, so decided to get. That's usually what the situation was and they would usually be really eager. Like, you know what? I'm glad you asked because I'm tired of this darn thing. But the guys with the portfolios, it's like their mindset is they're always looking to make money, of course. And if they can sell and make a profit, why the heck wouldn't they? And I want to give you a quick little story here to kind of emphasize this point. Recently, I've been reconnecting with some of my older clients because we now have agents in, I think, 18, 19 states, and there's a lot more demand. So I'm able to hook them up with the agents in different places. And one of them named Joe Chawansky. We become really good friends, and we have dinner together and things like that with our families. Well, I met up with him about 2 months ago for the first time in a couple of years, catching up, and we had a great time. He likes smoking cigars. I don't like smoking anything, and he likes like the shock, like the bourbon on water. He's one of those kind of guys, like Ron White. I'm a teetotaler, so I want like a beer. But in any case, I was asking him about some of the properties he bought. He started off duplex, moved his way up to buying, big 15-unit buildings. So I asked about one that was, I think, 11 units in an area called Bellevue. And he said, well, I sold it. And I said, you're kidding. That was one of the best ones. He said, I know. But what happened is, and here's the story for you, the lesson, a realtor called him out of the blue, right? He researched to find out who owned the building, called him out of the blue, and said, Mr. Chawansky, I have a client who wants to take a look at your building. And Joe said, I'm really not interested in selling. I'm sorry. The realtor called back and he said, he's just coming into town for 2 days. We're looking at the properties. He just wants to see what properties are like in Bellevue. Is it okay if I just show one of the units? And Joe said, okay, go ahead and show one unit. Next day, realtor calls Joe and says, I got an offer coming your way. And Joe says, well, I'm really not selling. I'm serious. The guy said, well, I'll send it to you. I have to do my job. Sent the offer. Joe said no. The offer came back again with a higher price. And guess what Joe said then? Never assume what somebody's thinking. If they're an investor, just like people that own boats, I promise you, there's a price for every property, just like there's a price for every boat. And I admire realtors who will do that. It gets you outside the box of relying strictly on the MLS and LoopNet and CoStar, and it gets you in a mindset that you can create the opportunities, and you can. Every one of you can do this. And I made a lot of transactions because I did the same kind of thing. We did the sign capture routine every week. We had a contest on it, in fact. So I would tell the painters and the cleaners and everybody, whose efforts capturing signs leads to more, like I would use it for property management contracts as well as listings. I would send them and their spouse out to dinner, complete with a limousine ride and everything to a top restaurant. I did that every month, and it was well worth it. So that little dinner thing should incentivize them to go out there and capture take pictures of the signs, and at the office we would just make the phone call. So, in any case, I wanted to give you that script to help you figure out how do you talk to people who own rentals, and you're technically cold calling. But when you do a sign capture, you're more likely to get a response because they're advertising one for rent. They're telling you with their sign they got one to rent, which means it's vacant. Yeah, you guys follow the logic there? Much higher response rates. It's like automatic. You're not sending postcards. You're not, doing stuff on Facebook. You're just basically using the power of observation to do the sign capture routine. So that's one of the scripts I wanted to give you tonight. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about is circle prospect. And I know some of you have heard me talk about this in the past. It's a different view on circle prospecting. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shift gears and talk about a farm area and how you use circle prospecting. But hang on, because it's not the way you're thinking. It's not the traditional method of circle prospecting. So what we do is this. You want to use the MLS to determine which areas, use the area field, are selling in your overall MLS area. Now, some of you already know instinctively some of the better areas, right? But when you use the data, sometimes you get surprised. So you do the search solds and have it done by area, then you sort it by volume. So the highest volume areas pop up to the top. You want to determine and start with the first area first, the top area, and go through and look at the listings from the last year. It'd take you probably all of 10 minutes. And keep tally of the agents that have the listings, okay? Now, if you determine that 2 or 3 agents are getting half the listings, that's 50% market share, I would generally go to the next area. And here's why. I'm not afraid of competition. What I don't want to do is I don't want to paddle upstream. It's hard to break into an area that's already been dominated. Would you guys agree? It's more difficult, right? So what we do is we look for an area where maybe one agent has like 10% market share, and that's it, right? One agent has 10%, and the other 90% is up for grabs. I would go to those areas. And here's what we did. So this was the actual campaign itself. Maybe there's 200 homes, okay? Instead of door knocking or postcards, we'd actually create that little mini booklet, right? Glossy cover page with the picture of the neighborhood, your photo in an inset, and your contact information, of course, and a splash that says, well, it's mid-January, something like fourth quarter 2020 real estate info for the neighborhood. You name the neighborhood. So think about it, the recipients see the picture of the neighborhood and they see their neighborhood name splashed across that. I'm pretty sure they're going to open it up, okay? Open it up, inside cover, they see a little intro letter from you. Nothing real wordy or fancy. You can mention if you're number one or your ABR, CRS, what have you. But mention something about the area, like get your MLS's monthly stat sheet that they produce, put that in there and make reference to 1 or 2 key points in the intro letter, and then let them see the stat sheet from your MLS. Now, here's where things get a little bit different. You want to actually show them information from their particular neighborhood, not the overall area, just their neighborhood. So I would do 3 searches: active, pending, and sold. Active, pending, sold, just for that neighborhood. And I print the summary sheet off. The realtor view where you get the little thumbnail and a couple of 3 lines of information. So you only have maybe 1 page for each one. Put that in there. So now you're up to 4 pages, right? The stat sheet and then active, pending, sold. And on the back cover, on the inside of the back cover, make your offer. Make 2 offers. First one is for a free home evaluation, click here, or give them your QR code for your landing page, right? And then give another offer, which is free search of homes. Click here, no obligation. Because if they're thinking of selling, they may also be thinking of buying. And you want to get them in the mindset of looking for that next house that they want to move into, okay? Well, let me do a quick pause here because I just kind of gave you a handful there. Actually, let me finish this up and I'll do the pause. Okay. The technique doesn't end there. Here's where things get real different. All right, there's 4 13-week periods in a year, right? Every 13 weeks, you want to go around and do the whole neighborhood. Just update the booklet with fresh properties and everything. And then the intervening bi-weekly periods, okay? You want to just do the circle part. Here's the circle prospecting part. Redo the search, determine what changed in the last 2 weeks. Something, maybe there's a new listing, maybe something got sold, maybe something's now under contract that wasn't before. And then print those pages and circle or highlight the ones that changed. Redo the booklet and only take it to the 25 homes around the 3 homes that had a change. Everybody, you guys with me so far on that? That's the circle prospecting part. Yep. Do that every bi-weekly period, and then you do the 13-week, the whole neighborhood. And I can tell you this, I can't use the word guarantee because I'm not allowed to, but I can promise you this, I'd be willing to bet you my next check, you're going to get deals out of that routine, and it'll establish you in that area, in that neighborhood. Because no other realtor does this stuff. It's hard work. They would rather send postcards, right? Or go door knock it and freak people out. So I shouldn't have said that, but that does happen sometimes. So in any case, let me do a quick pause here and check the chat box. And guys, remember you can unmute yourself too. But let me go back here. Let's see. This is from Roger. Roger, good to see you, buddy. Vision statement done. Goals done. Still putting in actions. Awesome. So Roger, make sure you set up the next call, okay, buddy? Actually, I think you did. Yeah, I saw you schedule one. Targan, one before, need to do the other. Okay, thanks, Targan. I did the vision. That's Anita. Doug, not sure, super busy with moving our office and having our best month ever. Yay, Doug. Hey, Doug, what was how many transactions in December?
7.
Hey, everybody give him a hand, man. That is awesome. That's 7. That's a pace to do 84 on an annual basis. Now you're thinking like a Lincoln. So congratulations, Doug. Melanie, I committed to completing the vision exercise this weekend. Awesome. Good job, Melanie. Susan, do you read the whole vision every day at breakfast? No, Susan, I don't read the whole vision. I actually look at the pictures. But like on the weekends, I will read the whole vision. And if there's something, how do I describe this? If I find myself getting off track, Susan, like there's just stuff, stuff piles up. I mean, it just does. Parents get sick, children get sick, cars break down, the hurricanes come, snowstorms, the economy, all these things happen. So when I find myself in a funk, like I just can't get myself, I can't put one in front of the other, that's when I pull the vision statement out. Okay. Now, I would challenge you to read it at least once a week, preferably on a Saturday or Sunday when you're relaxed, okay, having coffee. That probably is enough. But if you ever find yourself, you're not in alignment like you don't feel like what you're doing is in alignment with your vision, pull the vision statement out. I tell you, it'll do miracles, you know? Okay, Roger says FRBOs one. Roger, I'm not sure what you mean by, I'm sure the BO means by owner. Is it something? Oh, for rent by owner. Sorry, Roger, I'm having a
Yeah, for rent by owner, when you're talking about the subject before.
area.
I'm finding there's an area by me in the town of Clifton that has a lot of those Furbo signs,
Okay.
but I'm finding most of them are owner occupied. So have you
Oh,
had success in the past with those? Owner
okay.
occupied and they only had the one investment?
Absolutely. So they're owner occupied, so they're looking to move somewhere, obviously, right? And keep it and rent it.
Well, no, they have the rent sign out there to rent the other unit.
Oh, you mean it's like a
That's what
side by side?
wasn't that what you were referring to before? Is there's a for rent sign out there or
Yeah, for
the
rent
property?
sign. Yeah, for rent sign, but it's typically a person doesn't live there. So in the case of a duplex where live in one side and rent the other, you know, I would still try it because fact is they got a vacancy and maybe they're thinking, you know what, you know, I just want to get out of this thing now because now they're half their incomes. They lost all their income because they live in the other half, right?
Right.
So I would never, or let me put it this way, I would always call any prospect. I would always call them and have that conversation because you just never know, you know?
Okay.
So, yep. Lucy Targan says, can you put the average amount of profit on sales in the neighborhood as long as you don't say whose homes? Ooh, Targan, I'm not sure about that. Hey, Melanie, do you got any insight on that? Like putting, like they know what they, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, in Texas, we're a non-disclosure state, and so we can't say about a specific property, but for sale prices. But I could see how you could change that into I don't know about other areas too. We have to tread lightly here. But if you're giving a general sense of what was happening in the area, I would see that that would be okay. But we can't guarantee people having a profit. We can show how much property values have increased year over year, and those types of things would be a more safer way to answer that versus how much profit somebody could get or how much they got. Right.
And the good news there is you can gain or glean that from your MLS's monthly stat sheet. Usually it'll tell you how much percentage appreciation is to target. That way you can't go wrong. I'm just afraid if you dig into the county data and you knew what they paid for it when they bought it, and now you know what they sold it for. That could somebody could file a complaint possibly if they say, hey, that's my house, you know?
Yeah, that would make me nervous.
Well, I meant more along the lines of, say, for example, if you're checking your neighborhood and you can see, of course, every house, what they purchased for, and then now let's say what all you pull up, you know, solds just for your neighborhood. So if you're seeing on average, people are making 75,000 or, you know, in difference, of course, you don't know what they owe this and that, but just say, you know, the numbers. And if you know, put in your flyer, let's say if you were walking or casing or putting that around and you're like, hey, you know, average returns are anywhere between 50 and 100,000, let's say. I'm not saying specifically a house, but I'm giving people who are thinking about selling, oh man, I could get between this. This sounds great. Is that too close to the line, or is it, you know what I mean? That's what I'm more or less saying.
That probably sounds okay to me, Melanie. I mean, you're really,
that opens the range there where I would feel comfortable in that. It's just, leaving it vague versus specific. I think
what I would do though is I would put a disclaimer in their target and say, this is not intended to suggest that you will make this profit. This is simply an average. Yours could be higher or lower, something like that. That's probably would temper it just enough.
Yes, and then tie that call to action. Want to know more?
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
For your specific home in this today's market, you know.
Yeah.
Or in tiny print, results not typical. I got it.
That's also, so that's a great way to lead into, let's get together and talk about that. Set an appointment, you know? So, okay, let me go back to the chat box here. Can you, okay, Roger, do you have an example of the booklet in the silver member? So Roger, I don't have an example of that specific type of booklet, but we have plenty of examples of booklets like we use for the investors. So it's a similar format. What's different is instead of giving them examples of recent investment properties that have sold like a duplex or a triplex or a flip, okay? You're just simply given, I'm sorry, go ahead. Oh, you're just giving the 3 sheets, active, pending, and sold. That's really the big difference. The front and the back are all pretty much the same. The cover letter is almost the same. I tell you what we'll do. When I get one turned into me, I'll go ahead. Of course, I have to have permission, but I'll go ahead and put that out there for everybody to take a look at as a model. You know. Let's see, Susan. I have a question on the 25 houses. I like some neighborhoods that don't turn too often. Too much work to do this method there.
Okay, so my question on the 25 houses. So we have
Yep.
2 sides of the street. If a house just got sold, are you doing like, 5 on each side of the house on one side and 5 on each side of the house on the other side? Is that where you're getting your 25 somewhere like that?
Yeah, I would literally do the closest 25. I would go around the block, and because people are interested. If it's within a block or two, people generally want to know. But remember, it's all based on initial search where you sort by volume. So you want to go to a high volume area, right? Because you want that turnover. But you want to make sure it's an area where you can penetrate and get what we call market share, you know?
Right.
Now, having said that, guys, there's some great, beautiful neighborhoods with big giant yards and $1 million houses, but I would still do the research first, and determine, is it going to be worth the effort and the work? You can always penetrate a market given enough time, energy, and money. It's just the more saturated it already is with other investors, dominated by 1 or 2 or 3 investors, the more difficult it's going to be to break in. It just is. One of them will live in a neighborhood, and you'll knock on the door, and they'll say, well, Beverly around the corner, she's lived in this neighborhood for 30 years. She sold everybody's house. We always use Beverly, and you can always have a objection handler for that. But what I'm saying is, I'm more of a numbers guy. I'd rather go in an area where I have less resistance. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but my question was actually, there are neighborhoods that just don't turn very often. Not very people stay for a long time. There's not a lot of attrition. Is it worth doing some of those that I really like a lot? But it's not.
What I would do there is maybe like a flyer. Do a flyer for a year, maybe just once a month, because there's not going to be that many homes there, right? How many would you say? A couple dozen homes? Do a flyer for a year, 12 times. Always remember, 12 was the magic number for most marketing campaigns. And then the next year you can go down to like quarterly, once a quarter. But judge it based on the first year. I wouldn't give up after 2 or 3 months. I just think it's going to take a while. But at the end of the day, you might be the person that has the market share for the neighborhood because of your efforts. I mean, that'd be my suggestion. So Beverly, the second offer on the booklet, first was a free home evaluation. Mm-hmm. Click here. The second one was a free search of homes. Click here. Yeah. Okay. Now back to the circle prospecting. The primary purpose is to establish yourself in that neighborhood is the go-to person. So when you're taking the booklets out there, don't mail them. Don't stick them in the mailbox. You can't do it anyways. Stick them either in the storm door or wedge it between the knob and the frame if there's no storm door. Now, I always did this on a Saturday because usually more people were home on Saturdays, raking leaves and playing with the dogs and things like that. So I had more chance to have conversations. The ones that weren't around, I just stuck it in the door frame and headed on to the next house. Did not fool around. But if somebody was there in the driveway, absolutely, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to go up and say, hey, Doug, I'm Gary Wilson. I'm a realtor. I live in the area, but here's why I'm here. I particularly like this neighborhood, and I also have clients who want to live here too. We just can't find stuff for sale. So I did some research to figure out what was going on, right, and why. And I came up with some good information. I created a booklet for all of our neighbors, let's say all of our neighbors, use those words, in the neighborhood here, here's your copy. You don't have to buy anything or sell anything, doesn't cost anything. I'm not trying to get you to sell your house right now or anything like that. Here's your copy. And tell them I'll be back around every so often with fresh information. And say, is that okay? Ask permission. Most people will say sure. Now, some of them will engage with you. Some people are going to be talky, right? You got to learn to control the conversation, but more importantly, the ones that ask questions like this, hey, what did Ann Werner's house sell for around the corner? Okay. And that means they've been thinking about it. So nobody's going to ask that question if they haven't thought about, okay, what was somebody's house over? Because they're thinking, what was their house sell for? Now, it's even better if they ask you, what do you think my house would sell for? When they ask that inside, I'm like jumping up and down, you know, because I know I got them. They wouldn't ask the question if they hadn't thought about it. So what I would say there is this: everybody has their own script here. This is what I say. I'll say first, I make myself look a little bit scarce, like I'm a busy person, and I'm the go-to guy. I would say, well, I'm obligated to finish what I'm doing today. I'll go home tonight and I will gather information just specifically for you and your property. Remember to keep using you and your property, okay? And I should have that ready for you. How about if I come back on Tuesday? So plant the seed in their mind, you're going to come bring it to them personally. You're looking for an appointment, okay? That's what you want to do. Now, if they continue the conversation or they say something even more urgent, like, this is so funny you're here. We just found out we're being transferred and we hadn't even thought about what to do, what the next step is, what, what is the next step? You know, they might say, if they just said, we don't need to sell. When do you think we should sell? We got to move in 6 months. What should you say? I put it on the market right now because we believe we're at the peak. Nobody knows for certain, but let's face it. The government's printing money like crazy. We've got this virus. There's so many unknowns, and you've got to move. Why would you wait? Get the goods while you can now, while the prices are high. There's multiple offers. You'll just do a short-term rental if you need to. That's how I would answer that. Okay, but still set the appointment. Let them know that you've got to gather data. You've got to come back to bring in the data, and also take a look at the house and take pictures. So at that point, I'd be shocked if you didn't get a listing. Now, back to the former situation where they're just simply asking what their house would sell for, but they didn't provide any sense of urgency like we're being transferred. Still set the appointment and come in there with some comps. Come in there with a good CMA, right? And compliment the home. They're probably going to want to make it look nice for you anyways. And say, boy, I tell you what, houses like this have really been selling for top dollar, which is true. The best houses always sell for the most money. People are making multiple offers, compliment the house, reiterate the market that it's fast moving right now, show them the information and see how the conversation goes. How are we doing on time here? Right, I'm going to give you one more thing here. On the website in the resource section, under marketing campaigns, one of the tabs says the best listing presentation I ever made. And it had to do with, I don't know if I have one here to show you. It's like you have like a legal pad of paper, right? And a pen and pencil, and you draw a matrix, columns and rows. The columns are the subject, or the comparable properties around the area that's sold like theirs. Column one is always their property. And because if they're going to ask you to say, look, we are interested. We just want to know what you really think this would sell for. And we might want to talk to other agents, something like that. Say, no problem. I'm going to help you figure that out right now. Okay. So you've already got your comps. Now you got this chart. Column one is their property. Columns 2, 3, and 4 are other comparable properties. The rows are all of the variables. Bedroom 1, bedroom 2, bedroom 3, bedroom 4, bathroom, garage, basement, just like, think appraiser sheet, okay? Now, what you do is you can fill in the other 3 columns with the other property information. Maybe you already have it ahead of time to be safe. Then on their column, leave it blank and hand it to them and let them fill it in. So, okay, I'm going to have you fill in your number of bedrooms, your number of bathrooms, your square footage, okay? And then look at the other, and you're doing this upside down, right? Then say, which of these 3 comparable properties looks closest to yours? And circle that cell. The bedrooms is closest for property number A, right? Property letter A. Go all the way down the chart, and you add all those cells up and say, okay, which property has the most things closest to yours? Well, that becomes your property that your appraiser is going to use to determine your price. It's not an average. It's the closest match, adjusting for differences. And at the very bottom, what does that price say? Remember, this is you asking them, okay, between those 3 houses, which one would you say your house would more likely sell for? And there you go. That's also a great way to handle the people that think their house is worth $1 million more than everything else, right? It brings them back down to earth. But more ties them cathartically to the process of selling their house and pricing it correctly. Because then what you say is something like, would this number help you achieve what you want to achieve? Great. Would you like my help doing that? Great. Would you like to get started on learning what the process is, what the next step is? Great. Always ask, would you like to find out what the next step is? Don't say, would you like me to list your house tonight? You say, would you like to know what the next step is? I promise you'll get the listing, okay? You guys like that one?
I do.
Yep. Okay. Guys, I want to give you a couple more things here. I know I'm doing all the talking, and I apologize, but I'm all wound up here. Okay, for those of you on the team, in the RealFlow system, there's under courses, there's a program called Entrepreneurial Speed Course, Speed Training Course. Who was it pointed out to me? I can't remember. In any case, I looked at it, it's pretty awesome. And guess what it does? It ties in exactly with our vision exercise. It's almost uncanny. You know, it just goes to show you how important your vision exercise is. Now, did any of you see the post I put out there last night with the video to watch from YouTube?
I did.
See that?
I
awesome.
did. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I'm going to send it out to everybody. Let me write this down here. Send.
Where is the speed course?
It's in RealFlow under courses. Send workplace video in Bev's email. It's one of my favorite videos. It's got the Rock Tom in it, and some other people you recognize. But it's the kind of thing, it really drills home the power behind having your vision statement and why it's so important to keep revisiting it. Okay, whenever you feel like you're lost, you don't have you're off track, you don't know where you're going. I'm telling you, break out the vision statement. It'll bring you right back on track. Okay, call me, and I'll help you. All right, one more thing, and we can take some more Q&A here at the end. You know how on the workshop technique, and every marketing campaign has a, let me do a screen share. Hang on 1 second. Share screen. Every marketing campaign has a checklist, right? So there's dozens of marketing campaigns. Here's the checklist for doing a joint venture. In here, now every one of you has access to this. It's on the marketing campaigns tab on the resource page of. When you do joint ventures, we give you a list of 20 possible joint venture partners: boat dealerships, car dealerships, furniture rooms, landscapers, the obvious lenders, financial planners, lawyers, the whole 9 yards. So Willie and I were talking about this today. If you want to do some marketing, but you want to keep your budget under control, partner up with a financial planner, a lender, an insurance representative. They're famous for doing this stuff. Do a joint venture with them and say, you know what? I'm going to canvas an area on foot. I'm going to hand deliver these 5-page booklets. And what they can do, give them the back cover and let them take the whole page to put their logo, their promotion, whatever, 10% off on your next carpeting job, call Joe's Carpeting, and they'll know what they want to put on that. Tell them they'll get the whole page to themselves if they pay for the production of the booklet, and you will take care of delivery. Sound like a fair deal? Have either of you ever done this kind of thing before, where you partner with a local vendor and, have them pay for your marketing, and you promise them you'll hand deliver and they'll get the calls out of that. It's a great way to supplement your marketing budget. And more importantly, look at the list here. What kind of people have financial planners? People that have financials that they need to plan. They generally have some capital, some money. So what you do is you say, we'll do a joint venture in the future where we'll do a live event, right? You provide the location, I'll provide the food. You bring your clients, I'll bring my clients. And the agreement is anybody that registers, you'll share each other's registrations with the other. Like you'll share your clients who registered for the event with your financial planner. Financial planner will share their clients that registered with you. You just beefed up your database for an afternoon of having, hors d'oeuvres and drinks that you only paid for the food, and the other guy paid for the venue. So right now, that's maybe not the best time to do it. I'm just telling you, build the relationships now, and when the restrictions lift, these are the people you want to partner with, right? Share your list of registrations, build up your database, share your marketing costs. It's an all around smart thing to do. So, okay, any questions on that one? That was sort of a last minute oddball freebie there. So, lender to
I have a question about the booklet for a second.
Yeah.
Now,
okay.
when I've made the booklet before a while ago, but I had to use a machine at our old office when I was with Keller Williams. I don't have access to one of those machines to punch holes in those papers and even the clear top piece and the back piece. How would I go about making that booklet?
You could go to Staples or Office Depot. They usually have some specials. You would ask them, what are your specials, or do you have discounts? Like a lot of times they'll give discounts to local business owners. So make sure you have a business card with you. But also, you can buy one of those, they're called binder machines. Mm-hmm. You can buy one for like $80. It might not be in the budget today, but we got to the point we were making so many booklets. We bought a $230 binder because it was a big machine. It saved us a ton of money. Okay. Right now, though, what I would do is I look for a local mom and pop shop, see if they'll beat Office Depot's prices. Tell them you're going to produce booklets every month for the next year, however many booklets it is, and see what they say. But more importantly, really, I tell you, I think I would try to go joint venture with one of these guys, like a local flooring contractor, that has a showroom, kitchen. I mean, right now, some of those guys are probably worried about their businesses, and I think that they would probably spend a few bucks on a marketing flyer or booklet that you're going to hand deliver in a neighborhood that they want to serve, right? So I would go for that first. I go for the JV, and they'll take care of. They've already got budgets for this stuff, and they'll take care of the production. They'll take care of the cost. You don't have to worry about binders and paper and stuff like that. So try that first. If you don't have any luck with the joint ventures, you just have to go to Office Depot. But Willie, you and I should talk privately. You can do a skinny down version of this, like just a 1 or 2. Do like this, 11 by 17 paper, right? 11 by 17, folded over is 8.5 by 11, right? 17 divided by half is 8.5, and 11 is 11. So you got 4 pages, 2 back and front. That's 4 pages you can put stuff on. You could also make a 4-fold or a trifold out of one 8.5 by 11, or sorry, 8.5 by 14, for a trifold. You can get creative with this stuff. I just know booklets work better than bifolds and trifolds. But if you have to do the bifold, trifold option and save yourself a few bucks, then there's no binders or anything.
What's the average cost of 25 booklets?
It varies. I think right now you could probably get 25 booklets for $50 or less. You just got to, tell them you want to keep it to less than $2 a booklet, and ask them what discounts they offer. Or they have discounts for businesses, things like that.
Thank you.
But I would talk to some of these local providers here. Chances are, an attorney or a lender, plumber, car dealer. whoever you bought your last car from, right?
Mhm.
I've done JVs with boat dealerships. I'd say, look, because think about it. People that buy boats generally have expendable money. Let's say you bring them in, I'll bring the food, I'll set up a booth to talk about investing in real estate. They've already got a boat, maybe they want a bigger boat. Car dealerships have worked. Interior designers, staging people to stage, that's an easy one to do joint venture with. So is furniture showrooms. They'll have it in their showroom. They'll have an event in their showroom, right? And you can set up a little table to talk about buying and selling your home. What are the what's the top 10 things you need to know to sell your home, right? What are the 7 things you need to know to make a good purchase in today's market? Bring that kind of stuff with you. Or have you ever considered flipping a home or buying a rental? That flipping homes always gets people's attention. You could also say, because of UFF, you could say, pay your house off in 5 to 7 years, ask me how. Okay, that's a good lead in. So, but showrooms have always been good. Carpeting companies, financial planners, insurance people, they're usually pretty aggressive on their marketing. They have good budgets, and they're willing to do JVs. I had Liberty Mutual, like a national director, call me up one time and say, we want to do a big event with you. And we did, and they paid for pretty much everything. I didn't have to pay a dime, and they got a lot of business out of it. So did I. So insurance guys are great for this stuff. Attorneys, not so much, but I would still call them. The lenders, definitely. Lenders get beat up a lot. So just be prepared. If they've been paying for marketing for 100 other agents, they might not feel too inclined today. But keep in touch with them. Keep asking them, because they'll do it. So good questions, guys. Okay. Well, that was my story for tonight. Guys, I appreciate you being on. Third meeting of the year. We're off to a good start. Congratulations, Doug, again on your success, man. That's awesome. And everybody too. And by the way, Susan Murray, was it 16 now? You're up to 16 transactions, Susan? You're muted. Sorry, you're 20.
I said, thank God I've closed a couple, so I'm down a few. I'll be so glad that I'm through this bottle.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It just goes to show you. I mean, the way the business works, guys, is there's all these averages and statistics. Like, you got to show a home, 10 times, whatever, to sell it, whatever. You don't know if it's the first person or the 10th person. Same thing with marketing. Sometimes we have a saying, sometimes you get the bear, sometimes the bear gets you. Sometimes it works like a charm. Like literally, Ebony Rivers, brand new agent on the team, first marketing campaign, 2 responses. Second one was an absolute direct listing that day. Unbelievable. I was never that lucky. I had to work hard for all the ones I got. But what I'm telling you is be persistent, be consistent, and just keep swinging the bat. You're going to get your business. And I would really encourage you to do the listing campaigns right now, because that's what the market needs. I know it's more work because the buyers are everywhere. It's easy to get buyers. It's easy to fall on that trap. But I'm telling you, getting the listings is going to change your life. You'll be more in control. You'll be the quarterback. Everybody's calling you, right? Instead of you running all over town, burning rubber. I'm not saying don't work with buyers. What I'm saying is the market needs listings. Let's work together, go out there and get ourselves some listings. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Well, listen, God bless you and your families. Next week is on Thursday, be the last one of the month. And you'll notice we did something different. We had a lot of feedback from people, not complaints, just suggestions. Why can't we do it the same day every week? And the reason is that when we first started this, we just had a lot of feedback from people saying, I can't go this and I can't go that. And we said, let's make it a different day each week so nobody would ever completely miss out. But we made it on Mondays for the month of February. This weekly class here is all Mondays in February. And we're going to test it out, maybe do it for March too, and see how you like it. But the cool thing is I'm simply the guy talking. This is your session, so I want to know what you think. So please provide feedback. if you like the old way better or you like the new way better. Sometimes changes pain in the neck because you got to change your routine, but maybe you like Mondays better. I don't know. Let's just try it out, but please let me know what you're thinking. Okay.
Yay. Thank you very much, Gary. This is a great
Thank-
class and I like the consistency. That I can remember here which data to show up because I miss it sometimes. And I think, oh no, I missed it this week. So yeah.
Well, that was actually part of the feedback, Melanie. That was your exact words were exactly why we did that from a lot of people. So I'm excited too because I know I'm all over the map sometimes, but having that consistency helps me too. So all right, guys. Hey, take care of yourselves and your family. Have a beautiful, wonderful weekend coming up, and I will see you next week.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.